Hi, we're here at the Capital Jazz SuperCruise at sea. I'm Pat Prescott with my good friend Vinx, one of the performers this week on the cruise. And let me just say, first of all, enjoyed you so much.
Pat, first off, let me say what a pleasure it is and an honor and something that fills my heart just to see you and share the experience that you've given me in my career.
Now, is this your first time on Capital
No,
Jazz
second
SuperCruise?
time.
Second
First time I did a Soul Kitchen, which
Uh-huh.
is a songwriter workshop all week. It's great.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I tell you what, Capital Jazz Super Cruise, this is my fourth time on. And one of the things that I love about it is the variety of artists who are here. When I saw your name on the lineup, I was thrilled because we've been old friends. And some people who are watching this may not be old friends of Vinx, or maybe too, and want to hear some other things about him. I'd love to talk a little bit about what's been going on with you, about your past, about developing the style that you have. I want to really start with your dad, because I know that he was a huge influence on you. And I love the story that you tell about your dad helping you find your way in music.
Yeah, well, one of the things he said that I don't say much is my dad pulled me aside and said, you know, problem with being special is only special people get you. Everybody's not supposed to get you. And you got to be okay with that, which is weird when you're trying to be a pop star or get into music, he said. You know.
Yeah, and you grew up as a kid, just, singing in the closet and all of that.
My mom's story. Yeah, my mom put me in the closet when I was young. And everyone now tells me, no, that's child abuse. That's why you got, some spots in your character that are suspicious. And I said, no. My mom was smart. She says, it's not a closet, it's your own studio. So I said, okay. So I would go to my own studio and work it out. And my dad, who was a great, great singer, crooner that they called it at the time, Billy Eckstine-ish and all that.
Yeah.
So he would sing outside the closet as I was learning and playing drums. Took me a long time to realize he was actually singing with me. And he gave me the concept that the song does all the work, and all I have to do is connect to it.
Yeah, and become a part of it.
Yeah.
And so how did you create that unique presentation that you have? I'll never forget the first time I heard you. I had never heard anybody do what it was that you were doing. Playing drums, singing along, making sounds, replicating instruments, and then doing that with a pretty eclectic band with you as well. Was this something you dreamt?
Blame it out on the closet, because I would go in the kitchen and hit the pots and pans, and my mother would say, you should go work that out in your studio. So I would go back to the closet, and I would make these sounds and listen to records. And remember the first time I was listening to King Sunny Ade or something like that, and I heard this percussionist playing this amazing thing. So I was trying to practice and learn it. Come to find out it was a troupe about 8 drummers. And I heard it already like, oh, now I've heard all the changes and all the movements and the dynamics of it. So when I got to Los Angeles, I was like, no, I'm going to do this thing with this Peter Gabriel type thing. And one night I asked the band and said, can you hear me? And they said, no, I can't hear you. I asked the guitarist, no, you should turn up. And he said, well, that means you're too loud. And I would ask the drummer and Angel, who was in the original group, what's the point of this? That's the problem. We don't have a focus. I said, you know what? Everybody's fired. So I fired everybody. Only people left was the drummer and Angel, and me doing solos. So the next day I got a call from, I think it was saxophonist. He's living in Miami now, in Florida, maybe Orlando. And I know you know him.
I'm not sure.
Richard Elliott.
Oh, okay.
Of all people, right? He says, you got to come and open the show for me. I said, okay, I'll come. But guess what? I just fired the band. What'd I do? So it's just me and the drummers. That's my favorite part, come and do the percussion and sing. And that's what I did. Next day went
And so you realized you didn't really need a whole band, that you kind of are a
you
band.
know what? Somebody said to me, this is the first time I've ever heard you really sing, because there's so much distraction and so many other things going on that they said, this is the first time I did the singing. And as I sing, I'm singing everybody else's part too. Is my normal way, you know, if I'm gonna sing a song. You know, I sing the bass and the saxophone and the guitar, and everything else is part of the, you know, the creation of the moment I'm in.
Well, I think the music that you do, because it's so free form and in the moment, you would have to have people performing with you who understand that. How do you find those people? Have you found them throughout your career?
That's a difficult thing, but I was supported by my first pro experience with Taj Mahal in 1978. That's how old I am. But Taj said, come and do this show for me at Montreux Jazz Festival, because I couldn't afford to get inside, so my little band was playing in front of the festival. He said, come on in and be in my show. So I get to sound check, and for me, because I'm from Kansas at this point in my life, I said, I thought Taj Mahal was a building. I don't really know this guy's music, right? So I said, Mr. Mahal, what do you want me to play? It seems like a reasonable question, right? Taj said, I want you to play what you want to play. I got you here because I like what you play. So if you play what you want, I get what I want. And I was like, I can play anything? I have the freedom to play anything? He says, as long as it doesn't suck. So this allowed me to be an artist and respect what I felt and what I wanted to respond with. Changed my whole career.
Yeah, well, you've done that in a career that is unique in that, you know, who goes to a record label or any of the traditional places and says, hey, this is what I want to do. You know, you got that first record deal. You might have been one of the more surprised people in that whole equation because of that, weren't you?
I think so. Because after the show, Sting came backstage and let me hear some more. I'm like, I'm a broke black musician in L.A. This is all I got. Come next week, I'll play again. He says, no, I have a label. I need a recording or something like that. I don't have that. I want to produce your first record. And I'm like, okay. And then he followed up and said, I don't have to do anything. People will assume that I'm in control. Sting said. So you go make the record you want to go. You know your music, you know what you're doing, and do your thing. And I said, again, I have the freedom to do what I want and what I feel. So that's when I called every friend I could to get on that record, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you're a musician who does that kind of experimental music that has a flow that really is the essence really of what jazz is about, is that spontaneity. How awesome is it to work to make a record with somebody who understands that, because they are a musician as well. And Sting also has that, you know, has always been on the creative edge in that way. So that's a little marriage made in heaven right there.
Yeah. He was true to his word. He didn't show up for like 4 weeks because he started yoga. So he would go to yoga class when I was in the studio. But one of the interesting things you taught me and we talk about is I didn't know I was a jazz artist. I was just an artist who was affected by anything, everything that I have heard from my family, listened to the records they played. My aunt, who was one of the founding singers in Marvelettes, because my mom's family is from Detroit. And then my uncles were all the jazz cats who listened to all that. So I was surrounded by it. Every big singer that existed, my mom, dad, aunts, which is 13 on one side, 12 on the other side. So there's a lot of different music thrown at me. And I didn't really think of it as like, I'm a jazz guy. But and my understanding, jazz was at that time all the music thrown together,
Yeah.
and like a painter with a palette of colors. Everything I ever heard was now on my palette, which I could choose as I was
Right.
drawing.
And the painting is wonderful. A lot of great results from it. This CD, Memoirs of a Hip Old Black Man, and a film, and also in the recent past, Vinx has moved to France. We just have a minute left. I'd love for you to say real quickly something about your festival.
Well, I'm loving France. I've not been tased since I've been there.
That's always
I've
good.
got health care that was very necessary. I've have a village that treats me like old friends, like family, voisins. I even kissed guys on both cheeks, and I forget when I come home to not do that in Boston. But you understand. So I started a film festival, and a music festival, and a fashion show festival. The mayor came to me and said, "Whatever you want to do, just do it. We'll support you. Just tell us
That's
what we
wonderful.
need to do." And I've lived in a lot of places in my life, and this is the first place that, people that can barely exchange the language, in French, have said, "We got your back. Let's
I love
just
it.
go any way you want to go."
I love it. So how can we find out more about that?
Vinx.com.
Vinx, Vinx.com.
How easy is that?
How easy is that? Thank you so much for sharing
I
some time
love
with
you.
us today.
I love this cruise. I love the potential we have to introduce gourmet artists to fast food buyers at times.
It's happening right here on the Capital Jazz Super Cruise. I'm Pat Prescott here with Vinx. Thanks for sharing some time with us.
Merci beaucoup.
Dorian.
Yeah, à tout à l'heure.